In our last video, we have seen the successful implantation of an embryo inside the uterus endometrium. Now, for the embryo to grow safely and properly inside the uterus, it needs a constant supply of oxygen, nutrients, and hormones. And this is where a very special organ called placenta comes into picture. In this video, we will learn about how placenta develops, its structure, and its important function during pregnancy. So let's start with the development of the placenta first. We already know once implantation occurs, the trophoblast differentiate into two distinct layers. The outer one is the syncytiotrophoblast, which aggressively invades the endometrium, while the cytotrophoblast remains as an intact layer. As the development continues, particularly during gastrulation, the chorion continues to grow within the syncytiotrophoblast. And then it begins to form finger-like projections, which are called as chorionic villi. The extraembryonic mesoderm present within the chorionic villi later differentiates into the blood vessels. Around these villi, pools of maternal blood appear, which is known as intervillar spaces. Since maternal blood comes in direct contact with the chorion, this type of placenta is called hemochorial placenta. These blood vessels carry blood to and from the embryo, establishing the effective maternal fetal exchange. As the fetus grows, it bulges into the uterine cavity. Due to this, the chorionic villi facing the uterine cavity gradually become smaller and they form a smooth chorion. In contrast, the chorionic villi facing the uterine wall persist and becomes highly branched. This thick bushy region is called as chorion frondosum. As the growth proceeds, the amnion surrounds the offspring, which eventually fuses with the smooth chorion. And then they collectively form the aminochorionic membrane. Once the placenta is fully developed, it consists of both maternal and fetal components. The maternal components of the placenta comes from the endometrium of the uterus, which includes the uterine epithelium, the uterine connective tissue, in which the blood capillaries are embedded, and the uterine capillaries. The fetal part of the placenta include the fetal capillaries, which are formed in the chorionic villi and allantois, the fetal connective tissue derived from extraembryonic mesoderm, and the fetal chorionic epithelium. Now let's understand the structure that physically connects the embryo to the placenta and thereby to the mother, which is the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is very important structure in pregnancy as it is a transport pathway between the embryo and the mother. It begins to develop in the 7th week of the pregnancy. The average length of the umbilical cord is 22 to 24 inches, but it can grow up to 60 centimeter long. After gastrulation, the allantois grows into connecting stalk and then the blood vessel starts to develop within it. Since these blood vessels extend through the connecting stalk into the chorion, this type of placenta is known as chorioallantoic placenta. Later, the amnion expands and this covered connecting stalk becomes the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord contains two umbilical arteries and one umbilical vein. These arteries carry deoxygenated blood and waste materials from fetus to the placenta, while the umbilical vein carries oxygenated nutrient-rich blood from placenta to the fetus. Now coming back to the placenta, and let's see what it actually does. The placenta is actually an exchange organ which supplies oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. At the same time, it removes carbon dioxide and waste materials. But the placenta doesn't stop here. It works like an endocrine organ. Soon after implantation, The first hormone released by the placenta is human chorionic gonadotropin or HCG. This HCG acts on the corpus luteum in the ovary. This signal tells the corpus luteum to continue secreting the progesterone. This progesterone then maintains the uterine lining and prevents menstruation. HCG presence is used to detect the pregnancy in early stages as this hormone is excreted in the maternal urine. We learned previously that during early weeks of pregnancy, the corpus luteum produces both progesterone and estrogen. But by around 12 weeks or 2 months of pregnancy, the placenta becomes fully functional and now begins to produce estrogen on its own. This estrogen enters mother's blood and promotes uterine growth and development of mammary glands, preparing the mother's body for childbirth and lactation. After 4 months, placenta also begins to secrete progesterone. At the same time, the corpus luteum degenerates. Progesterone plays a crucial role in maintaining the pregnancy by supporting the uterine lining. Later in pregnancy, the placenta also secretes the somatomammotropin hormone. This hormone is also known as placental lactogen. Placental lactogen reduces the insulin response inside the maternal tissue. As a result, less glucose is absorbed and used by maternal tissues, and more glucose is available for fetus in blood for growth and development. Apart from nutrition and hormones, placenta protect the fetus from high pressure of maternal blood as the maternal blood does not flow directly into the fetal circulation. The placenta act as immunological barrier also, which prevents the mother's immune cell from attacking the fetus, which is genetically different from the mother. With this secure, nourished, and well regulated environment in place, the fetus can now grow and develop safely inside mother's uterus. Now let's quickly look at how the fetus develop over time. So the period of intrauterine development of an embryo is called pregnancy or the gestation period. In humans, if we count from the start of the last menstrual period, the pregnancy lasts roughly 40 weeks. Human gestation can therefore be divided into 3 trimesters, each lasting for about 3 months. During the first trimester, the major body organs develop. After 1 month, the embryo's heart is formed, and the doctors can detect this heart sound using the stethoscope. By the end of the second month, the fetus develops limbs and digits. And by the end of the 12th week, which marks the end of the first trimester, major organ systems are formed and external genitals are clearly developed. As the pregnancy moves into the second trimester, the fetus shows more visible signs of growth. Around fifth month, the first movement of the fetus can be felt and hair begins to appear by the head. By the end of the 24th week, the body is covered with fine hair and eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. Finally, by the end of the 9 months of pregnancy, which is the third trimester, the fetus is fully developed. And now this fully developed fetus is ready for delivery. And with that, the journey of the pregnancy reaches its completion.